I would like to talk to you a little bit about processing your emotions. You know, there's much magic in our lives, and I am very much a component or proponent of magic. And when I talk about magic, of course, I'm not talking about witchcraft and all the old concepts of what magic is. But magic is being able to realize that the physical world around us is an illusion. It is an expression and reflection of our consciousness. And therefore, when I change my consciousness, the illusion around me has to follow. And it sometimes happens miraculously, without any logic and reason following it. And that's the beauty of what I call magical, because one of the most held secrets of true magic is found in the depth of our emotional nature. And that's the one area most people avoid exploring. They're afraid of the depth of their emotion. They're afraid of getting hurt, or that the emotions are taught and conditioned from the time we're little to be divided into two different categories of good emotions and bad emotions. But the truth is, all emotion is power. And I remember from the Bible quote that says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." So what does that mean? That little parable, that little piece of wisdom, that quote, means that as a man thinketh, there's power in thinking, absolutely. But when you connect it from the heart, meaning thoughts with feelings, so is he. And most people have thoughts, but they don't connect it to their feelings. And it's when you connect it to your heart, and you connect it to your emotional nature, obviously love being the highest of all emotions, that magic happens in your reality, change happens. So today I'd like to share with you a process, a formula that you can begin to tap into the magic of your emotions and to create more positive, powerful changes in your life. And one of the secrets is that when you repress and judge your emotions as, quote, positive and negative, and let's say you judge your negative emotions as bad and wrong and you shouldn't experience them, then you're going to try to repress those. And what happens is the emotions are all connected. Your emotional body is connected. So when you repress your emotions of guilt and shame and pain and fear, you also repress your ability to feel love and joy and happiness and peace. So the secret is to, first of all, let go of the judgment and realize that all emotions have a positive and negative potential. Any emotion that's real has a positive and negative potential regardless of the label that you give it. Now, what does that mean? Well, emotions are feedback. They're there to communicate to you, giving you feedback about the reality you're living in. So if you look at it from that perspective, anger is there to give you a message. Fear is there to tell you to watch out, to slow down, to pay attention. They're not negative inherently within their nature. But what makes them, quote, negative is the relationship that we have to any of our emotions. So what makes a positive or negative emotion is to let go of the judgment of positive and negative and start thinking of your emotions as either expanding, which is like love, joy, and peace, or constricting, pulling in like fear and guilt and shame. Those constricting emotions are no less valuable than the expanding ones. You know, it would be kind of like saying inhaling is good and exhaling is bad. I just need to inhale all the time. Well, you need to breathe. You need to keep the flow of emotions going. Now, it's true that analogy breaks down, because the more you release those constricting emotions that have a hold on you, and you discover the true nature of who you are as a spiritual being, then those negative emotions will slowly and quickly, as time goes on, not be a big part of your life. But you'll still always have the ability and the potential of feeling them. You know, you wouldn't want to live your life without the ability to feel fear. You would probably be much better off living a life that you have that potential, but the key is not to give your power away to it. So what makes up a positive emotion is any emotion, anger, fear, or love and joy, that I'm willing to feel. Honestly to feel it, to go into the depth of it, to pay attention to it, to seek to understand it. Now, as I mentioned those concepts, to pay attention and to seek to understand, that's what love does. And when you can respect and love your emotions by seeking to understand them and pay attention to them, you can change them, you can heal them. The second thing, a positive relationship to your emotions is that you not only feel them, but you begin to express them. You give yourself a way to express the anger or to express the love. You give yourself a way to express it, either through physically, verbally expressing it, or through writing it out, or through talking to a person. You give yourself that ability to express your emotions. And then thirdly is to release it, to let it go. to be done with it. And oftentimes that's through forgiveness if it's a negative constricting experience, or that's through letting it go and opening up to greater joy and love in your life, not holding on to an experience from the past for too long and getting locked into it. And that is the third component, is to release those emotions. So those 3 steps are important to any positive experience with any of my emotions. Any fear or anger that I feel that I'm willing to feel, express, and to release becomes a positive experience for me. And likewise, what creates a negative relationship to any emotion is when I choose to ignore and deny my emotions. When I ignore and deny them, that first experience will create negativity in my relationship to my emotional nature. When I repress them, suppress them, depress them, you wonder where the word depression comes from. Depressing your emotions takes tremendous amount of energy. And most people who are depressed have a wellspring of unresolved emotions that they're trying to shove down. And if you can express them and let them come up and out of you, you liberate your energy and your freedom and no longer are, quote, depressed or repressed. So those are the components or the steps of a negative emotion. Is any emotion that I ignore and deny, it becomes negative. Any emotion that I repress or depress and refuse to feel, those become negative in my experience. So that means that love can be a negative emotion. When there's love that is an expanding emotion, it wants to expand and I ignore it and I deny it and I repress it and depress it, it becomes destructive, because energy of emotions are meant to move, emotion, to be in motion through our bodies to give us feedback. And when we deny and ignore and repress them, they go into our subconscious, into our bodies, and they create negativity. And likewise, anger and fear that I feel, that I seek to understand, and that I respect in that way by paying attention to it, and that I express it in a responsible way, and I release and let it go, is a very positive experience. So today's focus in how to process through your emotions is by allowing yourself to lift the judgments of positive and negative and see them as expanding and constricting. And then also to look at, how am I relating to my emotions? Am I willing to feel them? Am I willing to express and to release them responsibly? That creates a positive relationship to any emotion that I'm experiencing in my life. And one of the ways to express them, one of the techniques I give people, is a journaling technique. And you can see me on the next video on how to journal and express your emotions responsibly. Thank you for visiting this video, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future. Thanks.